8, Truck 6, Truck 3, Battalion 3, and the on-call inspector. 2303 West 46th Street, number 208.
Hi, I'm Division Chief Steve Fessler, and on this episode of Sioux Falls Fire, we're out at the training center watching the crews go through a RIC drill, which is a firefighter rescue drill. We also talked to one of our FAOs about what to do when you're driving and you see an emergency apparatus. And we're on scene at a vegetation fire in this hot, dry weather. All coming up on this episode of Sioux Falls Fire.
My name is Captain Eric Bartz. I'm with Truck 6 down on 41st and Marion, Sioux Falls. And we're out here today doing some RIC training, stands for Rapid Intervention Crew. What is RIC, when do we need it, and why do they operate? So what that is it's a standard that we have in place as firefighters nationwide that we'll usually have what some would refer to as a standby team, or 2 in, 2 out at a minimum, where we have a crew that's staged and geared up and ready to assist firefighters if they need rescue. So that can look like a lot of different things. The training we did today involved single-family residential dwelling, wood frame construction. So we ran through several crews today. We did a few different repetitions through this training, and the firefighters and officers got to practice their incident command, basically how they're going to run the scene and to balance the resources they have to use their crew to the most efficient manner. And then also operated a lot of different equipment that we have. So our pump operators ran the engine on the pump, pumped water for the hose lines to put out the fire. In these updates that we had for these training scenarios, we did have a known life hazard, which means we had victims trapped was the update. So our crews, whenever that update comes in, we're definitely going to risk a lot more in order to make every viable attempt we can to get that person out. So with that said, we used any tool that we had available today. It was kind of unique. The crews were able to use their saws and hand tools to force entry from the exterior and to go in and get trapped firefighters out of the basement. So that worked out well. We had a prop also inside on the first floor where a couple of firefighters simulated falling through the floor, and that allowed the responding crew, that RIC crew that I talked about earlier, that Rapid Intervention Crew, to make decisions based on what they had to most effectively go in there and affect that rescue. So both of the groups that we had today operated pretty similarly. They went in and were able to get the civilian rescue done, as well as rescuing both of the downed firefighters out of there. So it was a really good opportunity to get out there. We like to do this stuff as much as we can. There's no replacement for hands-on training, so the more that we can get out here and do real-world stuff, the better result we have out in the real world.
So we're out here on a vegetation fire that just hit, and I'm with Captain Dan Wagner. He was on Engine 9 today. They brought the wildland and the engine out here. What'd you see when you first got on scene here?
Well, when we arrived on scene, we had a pretty good update that there was potential of some people playing with fireworks behind these apartments. We had a good idea where it was at, and probably a block out we were able to see a little bit of smoke, not a terrible large amount, but when we got here we could see right behind us, up next to these reeds here, there was probably about a 35 by 10 foot stretch of flames. It was probably 5 foot high flames.
So it's grown a little bit, as we can see behind us here. It took off kind of quick. Luckily you guys were able to get here, get on top of it right away and start knocking it down. With the current weather conditions and how dry it is, it's something we're going to be seeing a lot of if people aren't careful, correct?
Oh, for sure. There's definitely a high potential right now with being how dry it was. And if it was windy today, this could have been a different story. It was pretty calm today, and that's what kept it from really spreading.
Yeah. So, one of the things, you have the wildland truck and you bring that out here. What's some of the different things that a wildland truck has on it that the typical engine doesn't?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing is a wildland truck is portable. We can get that in a lot of places where we can't get a bigger engine in. We've got different hoses, smaller hoses, where we can move around a lot easier. We've got different tools that are specifically made for fighting grass fires
Yep.
and not so much structure fires. So it's just more specialized for that purpose.
Well, sounds good. Glad you were able to get on it quick, knock it down. I know the public around us have been very happy with it. So thank you very much. I'll let you get back to it.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, today we're going to talk about something that we get quite a few questions from the public out there is, which way do I pull when I have an emergency vehicle either coming from behind me or towards me? So today I've got FAO, Jeremy Hill here. And first of all, let's get out, what does FAO stand for?
FAO stands for Fire Apparatus Operator. It's a fancy name for the guy that drives the truck.
Well, you have an extremely important job because you're the one that gets everyone there safely to be able to do the job for the medical emergencies, for the fires, and you run the truck, you run the pumps. That's your piece of equipment that you oversee, and it's a vital, important thing for us. So, one of the questions that we get, like I said, is, what do I do when an emergency vehicle is coming? And an emergency vehicle can be anything from a police squad car to a fire truck, an ambulance, the sheriff's deputies, highway patrol, you name it. Anything that has lights and sirens coming up behind you or towards you. So I've taken my artistic abilities here and drawn a few things out on the board, and we're going to just kind of run through these scenarios and give you an idea of what to do when you see them. So go ahead and pick up a marker here, Jeremy, and we'll look at this first one. We're looking at a two-lane road, and red we've got signifying a fire truck or emergency vehicle, and we've got the blue as your typical, the public's car, sure, and which directions they're going. So if we've got the fire truck here, going in this direction, this flow of traffic, in a car here, where do you want them to pull? Where do you want to see them go?
Generally, anytime we can and safely do so, we want the cars to pull to the right, Chief.
So you want to see them pull off to the right like that?
Always.
Yep. And so same thing, same scenario. Go in this direction. In the oncoming traffic, where do you want to see that vehicle go?
Also pull to the right and come to a complete stop if it's safe to do so. And that's because when I drive the fire apparatus here, typically I straddle the middle lane, and that's to give room away from this car. And also, if these people are pulled to the side here, I have the ability then to go straight down the middle.
Yep.
And do it as safe as possible with plenty of room from the other vehicles on each side.
Kind of opens up the corridor for you to get through with the fire truck.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. So we're looking at a 4-lane here. We've got the flow of traffic on this side going this direction, the other flow's going that way. Once again, we've got the fire truck or emergency vehicle here. Kind of same scenario, correct? You have a car here, you want to see them pull to the right to a complete stop.
Right.
And so if you get another one that's maybe a little further ahead in the same lane of traffic, what do we want to see them do?
It's going to be the same. I want him to pull to the right and not speed up and try to outrun us. Oftentimes we see cars that think either, hey, they're going fast enough or they're far enough ahead to where it's not going to be an issue. Oftentimes we can be traveling up to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, yep, and it's best if he moves to the side and
same thing.
Yeah, gets out of the way.
Okay, so kind of same thing. We're in the flow of traffic here. You have the vehicle clear to the right side of the 2-lane. What do we want them to do?
It's again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but just move to the right. Because if we get everybody to the right, and these 2 lanes or these 4 lanes here are typically on the busier intersections, and there could be a lot of cars, and I could potentially be, if somebody stops in front of me here or here, I could potentially be essentially weaving in and out of traffic. So ideally, if I've got a big open space to operate, yep, it's the most.
So we're looking the same thing. Oncoming traffic, we want them pull over, yep, stop, and that's the big thing, is to pull to the right and stop every
Absolutely.
time. So on this, like you said, you'd be,
yep,
right up through the middle again.
Ideally, I'm going to be right here, just basically barely straddling the center line here. But oftentimes there's something else to contend with,
yep,
and I may have to cross into oncoming traffic. So it's best, even if you are on the completely opposite side of me, is to pull to the right when you see us. So.
Okay, then we start getting a little a little bit more trickier area, our 4 lanes with a turn lane in the center, our 5 lanes set up. Say like a Friday afternoon on 41st Street.
That's fun.
We're talking a lot of traffic, and in the middle of the summer, a lot of people out. This gets hairy. It gets interesting for a driver like you trying to go lights and sirens. So we're looking at kind of all the same scenarios. We're looking to ask them to pull to the right, stop. Same thing up here. Pull to the right, stop. Same thing. I mean, 3 lanes away, we're still asking them, pull to the right and stop. And up here, with the oncoming, pull to the right, stop. Here's the tricky one, the one that's in the turn lane. What do you want to see someone say they're going in the same flow of traffic, same direction as you in the turn lane. What do we want them to do?
I would prefer them to just stop right where they're at as safely as they can. Okay. And you'll see me basically drive around and pass them on the left, which is, again, this is why it's important for the opposite side of traffic to come to a complete stop. Because I don't want it, if I'm overtaking this person, I don't want to pull on to his right side in case they think that, oh, here's a fire truck and now I have to pull to the right.
Correct.
And that just increases possibility that we're going to have a collision here. So I will just basically just drive around here if he stopped and pass them on their left there.
And if they're coming towards us looking to make that left turn in front of you, same thing?
It's going to be the same, the thing we will have going for us, because I am still going to pass them more than likely on the left side taking oncoming traffic, but they have the luxury of seeing me coming and seeing the move that I'm making, hopefully well in advance.
So once again, to reiterate, pull to the right and stop. Make that good open lane through the middle for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, now we're looking at an intersection. This is where often people get a little confused and scared too.
Yep.
We've got the fire truck going this direction and then all the separate things. Once again, this individual, pull to the right, stop. Anybody on the side streets coming up, stop where you're at. Just stop and hold. Once again, this traffic coming at you, try to pull to the right and stop as best possible. Don't go into the intersection. Okay, now here's the one that confuses a lot of people. What if they're just getting into the intersection and they see you coming up from behind? What do we want them to do there?
So it will for sure depend on how far they are into the intersection or how much time they have to react. If however it's safest to get out of our way. And that could be by simply just making a right turn if you're not very far into the intersection, or proceeding through the intersection and then pulling to a stop over here in this area and then allowing us to go by.
And once again, that's where the fire truck or the emergency vehicle is going to come up here. They're going to come to a complete stop there also, because we're checking both ways to make sure everybody is seeing us and good to go, and then proceeding through.
Yep.
So perfect. Well, anything else off the top of your head that you'd like to talk about and discuss right now as far as with traffic?
Well, Chief, this time of year obviously is construction season, so oftentimes lanes are bottled down to one on each side, and it's difficult. There's probably not any space for this person to pull over here to the right. And oftentimes people just maybe don't know exactly what to do and they stop, and I need to get through. So really in that situation, if there's nowhere else for you to go, proceed as normal and pull over to the right as soon as it is feasible.
As soon as an open area comes open.
As soon as you can do it safely and as quickly as you can, do so. But please don't just stop in the middle of the road, because I still have to pass.
Still have to get through the construction zone, which is not easy.
Right.
Well, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it, and I know anybody watching is going to appreciate this, because it's a lot of good information, and it's the best way to get the public out of the way safely for us to come through, and it's also the best way for us to get our people on scene safely. Yep. Thank you very much, and we'll let you get back to it. Thank you. It's that time of the year again where everybody is out grilling. It's going strong. People are getting the taste buds going for the grilled stuff. So I'm here with firefighter Matt Hill, and we're going to talk a little bit about some grill safety. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes, no problem. What are some of the things that we need to think about with grill safety? What are some of the precautions to do, things to keep in mind?
Sure, so one of the big things is just keeping your grill pulled away, far enough away from the house or whatever. Before you use it, making sure your grill surface is clean, you're keeping a good eye on it, not letting it get out of hand. And then when you're done using it, shut off the propane or natural gas and disconnect it. So
okay. So like you said, keeping it clean, that'll help keep it from getting any of the big flare-ups or anything like that.
Yep.
Keeping it away from the side of a building. Right here, we're on the side of a brick building, trying to stay out of the sun a little bit. But typically, you want to have it pulled away, especially if you've got vinyl siding or anything like that. Just really keep it out and away from there, correct?
Right, yeah, and then also be careful with like covered patios, making sure you're thinking about that as well. So
because as the heat rises, it's going to build up in the eaves and that type of stuff.
Could start melting stuff and dripping down onto the grill. So
okay,
yeah.
With the propane, typically, you said turn it off, turn it on. Like when you're using it, this is the only time you want it on. Otherwise, keep it off.
Yep, exactly. And also, just be careful when you're lighting it too, if you're using matches or anything like that. So
okay,
yeah.
So also at this time of year, when the grilling's going, we also have a lot of people out with their fire pits.
Right.
And we get a lot of calls on open burns and different things like that. So with the fire pit, what's some of the things they should keep in mind when you're out and enjoying your fire pit?
Right, so you want to keep your fire pit at least 15 foot away from your house or any structure. You want to make sure to have a hose or a water source close by, and then also just be burning only cut and dried firewood, not lumber, twigs from the yard, or leaves or anything like that.
Right, don't use it as an opportunity to clean up your backyard and throw it in the burn.
Yep.
To burn it, because you're not going to get away with that, especially in Sioux Falls. We get a lot of calls on smoke issues, different things like that, and we try to be good with the public on the people that want to enjoy the fire pits, but there's things that we want to see them do in return.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of Sioux Falls Fire. We want to remind you, pull to the right when you see an emergency vehicle. Seconds count. If you want to learn more about Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, go to www.siouxfalls.org/fire.